My name is Fatma, and I also have a mission to create happy places and bring joy to every autistic and neurodiverse learner's communication. And from the chats, I can see there are so many who have joined us from UAE and even from Canada, Hyderabad, Mumbai. Wow, that's lovely. So I'm so excited to be here with you all today to talk about one of my all-time favorite topics, the amazing impact of child-led play on communication with Gestalt language processors using AAC. So it is so important for us to understand this because we believe that many, if not most, autistic individuals are Gestalt processors, which means that they acquire language through what we refer to as Gestalt language development. I hope that our time today enhances your understanding of Gestalt language development and gives you confidence in your ability to support your child's communication by following the lead in play. You might be wondering how to know if your child or student is a Gestalt language processor. I'll be referring to Gestalt language processors as GLPs throughout. GLPs can be speaking, minimally speaking, or non-speaking. Let's talk about some of the common characteristics that we see in our GLPs. Now, keep in mind that your child or student may have one of these qualities or all of them, and they can still be a GLP either way. A Gestalt language processor will often have a very strong visual and auditory memory. I always tell parents that these are the kids who get in the car, go to their favorite place with you, and from that point on, they know the exact directions to get to that place. So they're trying to get you to turn the next time you get in the car. They think that they are going to McDonald's or KFC, and they're telling you to turn down the street this way or that way, whether it's with their body, their speech, or their device, or whatever modality the child's communicating with. They have really great visual and auditory memory. GLPs will often repeat lines from their favorite TV shows or videos. And a lot of time, their speech will sound very much like the original. So they use what we call echolalia to communicate. And GLPs may be able to sing or hum their favorite songs from their favorite shows, but they have a very difficult time using that language in any other way, such as to express their basic wants and needs. This is most of the times the parents, when they come to us, this is the issue that they are quoting. Oftentimes, Gestalt language processors really love screen time, and they may watch their favorite show over and over again, and it might not even be the same show. It might be a little clip from that show, even as short as 5 to 10 seconds of a show. When that happens, it's really important that we tune in to see what it is that they're watching. Because a lot of times our GLPs will look for language or context within their shows that they want to retain, words that are bringing them joy or that are otherwise meaningful for them. That's why they will repeatedly watch the clip lots of time. This is what some of the parents, when they come to our clinic, they tell us that, they just keep rewinding and watching that particular clip. And in the chat box, you can continue adding if like when I'm speaking about this, if you notice that in your learners or in your children, you can very well type that in. Gestalt language processors really love music and they may be musically inclined. So often the parents will tell me that their child has always loved humming or singing or has always been really in tune with music. You might find that they learn things a lot more quickly when it is through music. This is what we do usually in our special education therapy sessions as well. So GLPs will often use long utterances with really rich intonation. And even in the beginning, before they are motorically able to produce these long utterances, you may hear them trying to produce long strings of sounds. And you'll notice lots of rich inflection, even if you're not able to fully understand what it is they're saying. For example, you might have a child who wants to repeat the whole of, let's say, thumbs up ad. And but instead they are saying thumbs up, like that. And that's their way of producing that longer gestalt. They might not be able to say the whole word of thumbs up as well. But they're quite able to get it all out intelligibly. So in the next slide is a clip of a child who's just starting to communicate. You can say she's a very early gestalt. Yeah.
Bouncing, 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 bouncing. What song is that? I wonder. This is it.
In this audio, it was not very clear, but this child has just started using, if you can see, if she was using a lot of jargon or unintelligible speech. But she was repeating an action. And Nicole Casey, that's one of the therapists. I'll be giving you at the end of the presentation, I'll be giving all the Instagram page accounts that I follow and I've taken videos from. And she's one of the speech language pathologists that I really follow for my early years Gestalt language processors. So what is happening here? She just heard the word bouncing on the bed. That's how she started connecting with the child. And on a lot of detective work, she found that particular song that she was singing. And if you can see, the child was not just imitating the language, but also the action, the jumping on the bed part. So this will be more clearer as I go on to the next slides, where how GLPs process language and how through their actions also they let us know about it. Okay, so a child may be a GLP if they're having difficulty with pronoun use, specifically when it comes to I and you. And that is something that we call pronoun reversal. Oftentimes, early GLPs will say you when they really mean I. And the example that I always use for this is when it's really challenging to teach my turn or your turn to a child, it may be a sign that they're having trouble with these pronouns. So often we have professionals, educators, and parents trying to model, okay, it's your turn. And the child responds, it's your turn. But you're like, no, 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 it's your turn. And they're trying to say, my turn. But then they say, your turn. So pronouns can really be challenging for early GLPs. And sometimes they will speak in the third person. So they will refer to themselves by their own name. A lot of GLPs will repeat others using echolalia. And that may or may not be what they are actually wanting to say in that moment. So it's our job as communication partners to help them really convey their authentic message. Gestalt language processors often like to keep things in sets. A lot of times this comes out when it's related to toys. The child will want to keep sets of figurines together. So if they have, let's say, the Avengers and Iron Man goes missing, that could be really upsetting for an early GLP because they view the whole set as one unit. So in the next slide, there's an example of pronoun reversal where a child wants to say I, but he says you.
Ready for help? Okay.
So you can see that Can
for help?
you do it? Can you hear that? It's like, can I do it? It's he's saying it as, can you do it? So it's very, very common with Gestalt language processors. So Gestalt language development is actually a natural development process by which an individual moves from using echolalia to being able to self-generate their own language. In the first stage of Gestalt language development, a GLP uses whole strings or sounds or words that they have lifted from other sources, such as TV shows, songs, nursery rhymes, or conversations they've heard about. At first, the GLP will use these strings, which we refer to as gestalts, and they'll use them exactly as they were originally heard. But this is a string of sound words that is defined by its, you can say, intonation, its meaning, and it is tied to emotional or otherwise meaningful personal experience. I'll be sharing some examples very soon. We have referred to gestalts as scripts or delayed echolalia, and you may still hear these terms today. It's important to recognize that gestalts are not usually literal, and we can't take them at their surface level. For example, a child might say Happy Diwali anytime they're happy, or they're very excited, or they want to agree or to confirm something. Or a child may say, pick the toys anytime they're frustrated. Because maybe in the past, when they have been frustrated, they knocked over toys in the classroom and they were told to pick them up. So that language became associated with the emotion of frustration or anger for the child. So anytime they start to feel angry or frustrated, they'll say, pick up toys, even if there are no toys around. So there are 4 main stages of Gestalt language development. And while we're not going to get into all the features of each stage or the intricate details, I do want to explain a little bit about what each stage might look like so you can recognize this in your child or your student. So stage 1 is delayed echolalia. In this stage, the child is lifting language from an original source and using those gestalts in their whole form to convey meaning. Like I just explained earlier, Happy Diwali or pick up toys or something like that. Stage 2 is mitigation. This stage is called the mitigation stage because the child has gathered enough gestalts to start noticing patterns among them. Like Happy Diwali can be happy birthday or something, Happy New Year. So they are noticing patterns. The child begins breaking them down into smaller units, such as sounds or words, to mix and match and form new language. Stage 3 is isolation. By stage 3, the child isolates single words from those original gestalts, having broken them down into chunks in stage 2. Now they're pulling single words from these long utterances and starting to combine them into 2-word phrases. For example, if maybe they have isolated let's and maybe play or go. So they may not be very focused and the grammar may not be very good at that time. So go play or let's dance, or maybe they'll call out their own lanes. Let's kushu play. But these are the words that they actually mean it, and it is not gestalt any longer. So that's stage 3 isolation. Stage 4, self-generated communication. In the 4th stage, the child begins combining single words into their own novel utterances. This is when self-generated communication really takes off for our GLPs. So this is a clip of a little girl who's minimally speaking, and you can see what GLPs in stage 1 may sound like. Yeah.
I hear you. Wow.
So as you can see, it was a whole lot of jargon, and but the intonation was so rich. She was trying to convey something, and the intonation was definitely there. So in this workshop, we're going to focus on how we can support early Gestalt language processors communication through child-led play. So the first question arises, what is play? So it's important that we understand what play is and what it's not, so that we can really make sure to embed these opportunities in our day. Now, play is anything that we do for its own sake. It's whatever we do to find joy and have fun. It's not done for the expectation of a hope or the hope of a reward. So play really should be self-chosen, self-directed, and intrinsically motivated. It's important to remember that play will look different for every child, because each child is going to have a unique idea of what play really means. One of the best ways that we can support an autistic child or even a neurodiverse child's communication development is by following their lead in play. Play really should be self-chosen, self-directed, and intrinsically motivated. It's important to remember that play will look different for every child, because so what makes the play child-led? We have come up with the 3 freedoms test, which is a way to identify whether something is truly child-led play or not. In order to be child-led, play should have these 3 freedoms. So the first one, freedom to choose. Is the child given free access to the environment in order to choose something that will bring them enjoyment? For play to be truly child-led, the child should be able to choose whatever interests them. And here there is a little video where the child really loves sliding down, and he has even chosen the gestalt he uses to do so. Yeah.
3, 2, 1.
3, 2, 1.
3, 2, 1.
Wee!
That's really fun.
It's really fun.
So you can see that the child himself chose that gestalt. Maybe it would have been a potential gestalt, but then he chose it, and this is how he's enjoying to play. The next one is freedom to change. The child should be able to change their mind, switch gears, or find something different to do if they lose interest in what they are doing. If the child starts to play and realizes it's not as fun as they thought it would be, they should be free to shift gears. If they can't do that, it stops being child-led in that very moment. So here's another clip that shows a child, he wanted to play with another something else in another room, and just watch what the therapist did.
Oh, you're going in? You're going in the room? Bye. Come on, Cole. Okay, here I come.
Okay, so this child here in this video, he wanted to go to another room and continue the play. So the therapist, look at that. She's waiting, and the minute he called out Cole, she just got up and she went to the other room. So, that freedom to change, that's so important. And that actually helps develop that connection. Gestalts, that's why I began the presentation with a lot of features that you can see in a Gestalt language processor. So, like if there is immediate echolalia or delayed echolalia, it can be intonation as well. So if the parent can, if they feel free, they can just share some of the things. Have they found that they are doing those things which I just discussed early on? What makes them think that the child may be a gestalt? So that's also an important question. And whether the child is speaking or minimally speaking or non-speaking, these are the things that you need to note. See, the surest sign is the child will be the intonation that the child uses. That's something which is very, very common that we see in the kids who come to us. They have intonation, there's a lot of jargon, there's a lot of echolalia. These are the 3 main things that I notice. Apraxia of speech, Maybe, because sometimes, as I said, Gestalt is not a diagnosis or a disease. So if there is apraxia, the child may certainly be an analytic or even a Gestalt. And as if the child has an autism diagnosis, then we are seeing a lot of, like, 80% of autistic kids who come to us, they are Gestalts. So yes, apraxia is something very different. It deals with the pathological aspect of speech. But yes, they can be a GLP or an ELP. Okay. So the last freedom to end. If a child decides they no longer want to play or no longer want to do whatever it is they're doing, they should have the freedom to put an end to it. Now, this can be very tricky, especially in some of the tabletop therapies, or, yes, it's important to acknowledge what the child wants to do at that moment. That's how we can really connect with our students or child and understand their interests. So if they start something and then stop quickly, maybe that's not their biggest interest in that moment. But if they start something and stick with it for a long time, and they're really always leaning towards it, it's probably giving us more insight into what they love and what brings them enjoyment. So this is a wonderful example that not only shows a good child-led activity, but also a good example of promoting self-advocacy. This is by Katia. So yeah, can you play the next slide? Video.
Let's open it. Let's open it.
Okay.
Wow.
Oh, you want to turn it on?
I need help. It's stuck.
Oh, it's stuck. Okay. Ready, set, go!
Let's go.
Oh, no. Oh, stop.
I don't like it.
I don't like it. We can put it back in. All done. Say no.
I don't like it.
Okay, so here the little girl was trying to explore that toy, and look at how the therapist, she is acknowledging what the child might be feeling at that time. That's so important. With her actions, the child showed that she was scared, and she modeled those gestalts for her. That's really, really important. This is how the gestalts, they pick up language. So Gestalt language processors will play like most other kids, but there are some qualities in their play, especially in early GLPs, that we may not have known about. We can start looking out for these things in our students or child. For example, the child during play, as I was telling earlier, they will probably prefer to keep sets full. In a play activity, if a child has their Avengers set, and as I mentioned, Iron Man or Spider-Man is missing, they may completely reject the rest of that set because it's no longer the Avengers set. It's missing a part. If one thing goes missing, it's no longer the same for them. And they may also have a very hard time mixing and matching toys. They might not want you to introduce Mickey Mouse characters when they are playing with Avenger characters. So they may be very specific about what they can and cannot be involved in their play, what can be involved and what cannot. A GLP in the early stages will probably prefer to play the same way each time. Now, this is important. That might look like them always playing with one toy or one activity. Or it could also look like them wanting to play in the same order each time. For example, I have several GLPs who visit my clinic to attend these communication therapies, and they will follow their interests throughout our session. They'll choose play activities, and they will almost always choose the same activities in the same order. Even if they're having a great time with something and they're really immersed in it, they will move on to the next thing if that is the way that they've understood the communication therapy. GLPs often have very strong episodic memories. For many GLPs, when they think about an experience like, speech therapy or occupational therapy or any other therapy, they view it as a sequence that has been established. And Gestalt language processors will often act out scenes from their favorite shows. If they are kids who really enjoy screen time, they may be doing things in play that are actually coming from those favorite shows. Remember the video that I showed you of the little girl jumping on the bed? So I want to show you a video of a child who was doing this. And when you look at it, you might not recognize this.
La la la. That along with tons of snowman fun. La 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 la. It's getting inflatable abominations off my lawn. Get those inflatable abominations off my lawn. But you have the perfect lawn for a winter wonderland.
Okay. So, like, if you don't notice this and you'll just think that she's being silly, we miss an opportunity to know what she's thinking about, what she's trying to convey. And we miss a meaningful opportunity to connect with her on something that she really loves. So you can see that that is a little clip from that McDonald sequence that she was actually enacting out and also talking about. We play in so many ways, and our GLPs are no different. They may play uniquely, but they play in various ways. For the next few minutes, I'll show you some videos of GLPs engaging in styles like exploratory play, cause and effect, constructive play, physical play, people play. There's so many. I'll show you some sessions which will give you an idea of how to support communication through language modeling following the child's lead. And these are all videos I have, as I mentioned earlier, I've put the link to all the Instagram pages that I have taken the videos from. The child lining up. So how do we become a partner in our child's play without interrupting? So here are some strategies as well. As I go on and I show you the videos, I'll be discussing about some of the strategies, and you can see those in the videos, which will help really successful for us here at Jami to build connection and support communication. So if a child, for example, is lining up toys, just sit nearby and maybe hand them the next one. So if it's a rainbow order, hand them the next color in the order without putting any demands on the child. This shows the child that you are their partner. So let's look at a quick example in the next slide where a child is stacking blocks.
Let's do it again.
Build it up, build it up, build it up. Build it up, build it up, build it up. Oh!
Oh no! No! Oh no!
Oh no! Let's do it again.
Let's do it again.
So you can see that how the therapist, she's just adding on to it. She's just becoming a play partner to that child, modeling those phrases on the AAC at the same time. And you can see that the child really had intonation, a lot of intonation without clear words. So if the child is looking for, let's say, a missing toy, acknowledge that it's missing. If you can't find it together, help them work through those feelings of being frustrated or being upset, the validation of the feelings, and maybe even work towards a solution together. So in the next clip, the elephant goes missing. Let's see that.
Whee!
Wait, where is it? Wait, where is it?
Where'd our elephant go? Oh no.
Was it?
We lost it. We did. Oh, that's not good. Oh, wait, here's one.
No,
That's different. Blue elephant. How about Cole will go look? Good idea. Be right back.
Okay.
Oh, the zipper's stuck. Got it. Animals out.
Okay. So as you can see, the child actually was missing that elephant, and the therapist, she tried to join him and also help him find a solution. So she went inside and looked out for something. These are opportunities where you can actually connect, and this really, really builds up communication. So if you don't recognize a repetitive action as being from a TV show or a nursery rhyme, check in with the family, ask or teachers, ask parents, caregivers, or teachers about what shows the child is watching, or what are the conversations happening around the child. And what is the child watching, and try to remember what the actions are, because sometimes understanding the context helps us connect better. So if you see your child saying something you don't understand, but you hear rich intonation, it's important to acknowledge them. Nod your head, smile if it sounds happy, or try imitating it back to the child. So I've noticed that when I imitate my early GLPs, they often repeat it back and make it a little clearer. Just by repeating them, I am more likely to understand what they're saying, because once I say it, I can think, oh, maybe they are trying to say this. So the next clip is a very good example of acknowledging and giving the wait time.
How I wonder. Oh, that's not right, Cole.
I see
Ears and mouth and nose, head, shoulders, knees, and toes.
Okay. This is another example, like maybe most of the kids, and they may have some sensory issues as well. They love spinning their body. You know your children when they come to you, and so they love hanging upside down, any of these occasions. So, join in with them. In the next slide, it's really nicely done how she joins it with wee, that's fun, round and round, let's spin. So these are some of the gestalts that you can use. There's a small video that you can see here, a child who loves spinning.
Let's spin.
Okay, let's spin. You're gonna do it like that? Okay. Oh yeah, sit. Dropped one. Okay, can help you scoop. Oh, all right. Cross your legs. Okay. Oh. Let's go faster.
Faster.
Oh. Oh.
Let's spin.
Okay. Oh. Oops. Oh. If you put your
Okay, so if you notice, she's using the AAC again to model the phrases faster. Always keep in mind what the child would have loved to say at that time. So once the child trusts you as a play partner, you can start modeling language that aligns with their interests. And here are 3 takeaways. If I just want to sum up the previous slides, 3 takeaways of how you can do this. So the first one is model language from their perspective. So use rich intonation, as you would have seen in all of the videos, and descriptive language that matches what the child is doing. For example, if they're spinning a toy, you might say, wow, look at that, it's spinning. And you add rich inflection to your voice as well. avoid demands and withholding. Don't withhold toys to make them asks. Sometimes what we do is, okay, you will get this toy if you do this. So that is something we need to avoid. Instead, model language naturally. If they pick up a toy cup, you can say, let's drink. Oh, that's yummy. That's cool. So the third one, very important, imitate what they say. So if they say something you don't understand, and I think there's one question where if you don't understand what they're saying, repeat it back to them, even if it is not understandable. So often this will encourage them to clarify, and also, that rapport building, that's so important for a child to feel that somebody is at least acknowledging communication for them. So just to sum up all these videos and the last few slides, there's a very good example of modeling without expectation and what it looks like on AAC for Gestalt Language Processors. It's from Nicole Casey. I would love for all of you.
With here and there, here, a bird, yeah. Old MacDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O. And on that farm he had a
Duck.
with a here and a quack, quack, there. Yeah! Everywhere old MacDonald had a farm.
So those are some really good ways that you can become a play partner to your child. And now you must be wondering how to program an AAC app for an early Gestalt language processor. So I don't know did you know that AAC apps are set up for analytic language processors? That means we have to customize them for the first two stages of Gestalt language development, the delayed echolalia and the mitigated echolalia. Okay, so just some programming advice here that we need to think long term. So we want to maintain that integrity of the AAC system. So we know that our learners are moving towards self-generated speech, and those single core words, they will definitely be needed in the later stages, especially after stage 3. So we don't want to mess with that AAC system or the language system and interrupt the thought that was put into designing those systems. So why things were put in certain locations. So we want to add, not delete, just add with an eye to that language organization. And we really want to be identifying a location within that language organization where it makes sense to put the gestalts and mitigations. So TD Snap has this really cool thing called Quick Fires. And avazapp has a very similar folder called My Phrases folder. You can put in phrases or gestalts here. Another place is topics or categories. So they might be minimally speaking, the GLPs, but if they have songs or anything like that, I want you to go to the topics or the categories and put them in. So next, I'll be showing you 2 videos, one on the TD Snap, how to program the gestalts, and also on the Avaz app. The Avaz app programming, it was done for a little girl who comes to our clinic.
All right, I'm going to show you how to edit TD Snap for Gestalt language processors. So when it comes to this app or any of the AAC apps, they are programmed with purpose. So we don't want to switch up that original programming. This is the core first programming, 8x10. I am not going to change any of the home page. We're just going to think about adding, not deleting or changing. So we start with this home page, and then I will show you where we're going to store some gestalts or potential gestalts, some phrase level things. We can go over to the left in Quick Fires, and this is what Quick Fires looks like. There's already some useful phrases programmed in here, which is nice. And then on the top, we see My Phrases. So we can go into that My Phrases section. And here you'll see within the My Phrases section, I've programmed some potential gestalts for this child. We can also go into all words lists and put gestalts within their related categories. Here you'll see the food page, and I've put some food-related gestalts. Please note that the I like and let's eat are mitigation, so this would not be programmed in until stage 2.
Okay, so something very similar can be done with the Avaz app, and I'll show you how. She comes to us, and we have stored her phrases at the home page. This is
आ जाओ डांस करना है चलो खेलें.
So this is all very specific to what she likes, and this is one place where we are storing the gestalts for her. And another way of doing that is you can go here, you can go to the categories, and whatever is personal to her, like for example food. This is
apple, दूध.
so we have stored some of her gestalts over here, and we are still doing that. For example,
मुझे दूध पीना है. I like ice cream. और सब्जी चाहिए.
so this is how you can store the gestalts in the different categories as well. Like for example, in my personal stuff, you can add whatever is personal and customize it as per the child's need, and you can add some of the gestalts here as well in this, along with the different categories. And as I showed you before, you go to the home page and you have readily, you can access these. So that's the My Phrases folder, which you see on the Avaz app. So you can program some of the gestalts. There are already pre-programmed gestalts over there, and also in different languages. So if you've noticed, I've done that in Hindi because she doesn't understand English. So there's no right or wrong way, as long as we are keeping in mind that the learners have access to the full use of the vocabulary system as they are moving towards and onwards in stage 3 and then 4. So two takeaways. I wanted to think about the topics, and I also want you to be putting anything that the child is already saying. Like for example, when we did for Chia, these were the things she was already saying. We want the child to have their own language in the device, in the app, because they're going to be really bought into it. They're going to say, hey, that this is my language, and this is what this represents what I'm already saying. So, and that's the one thing. And the second one is to program some potential gestalts, which you think that very soon that the child will be using those. So those are very important. And we have to model them again without expectations. In the next 2 slides, I'm going to just talk briefly about system features that we feel are very important for Gestalt language processors. So I may not be able to show you all the videos, but I'll show you 2 main ones of the. So recorded audio is very, very helpful, and access to videos too, because it allows our learners to hear language in context with the intonation that they really want to need to connect to with the language, and take it as their own. So it may be helpful to be able to embed videos when that's possible. So I think we'll skip this video for now, and let's go to the first Avaz video. So it has recently introduced the video clip feature, which works wonderfully for early GLPs. So let's take a look.
Avaz version 8. To start off, go to menu and I go to edit words. I will be on this screen. So if I have to add a new word to this existing vocabulary, I can just click on the add new button here on the top. If I have to add a word, I can click on word and I'll be taken to the add word screen. We also have speak as, which is basically a place where you can upload a custom audio. If you have an audio already saved, then you can just click on upload button and select that. So currently we have formats like MP3 and WAV, and you can pick that up from your gallery.
Okay, so this was the audio clip. The media, maybe a child is watching a particular show or a TV show, and you want to pick that particular sound. So the next one Let's see for the video editing. This was for audio clips, and the next one is for video clips.
How to add a YouTube video. So again,
Can you
I'm
show that?
edit, and I'm probably now I know that I want to add a word over here, and I will say add word and add a word. Let's say let's go, which is a phrase, and I can select that to be a phrase here, and now you can see that an internet image has been picked. I can go to change picture and change the photo that I want. I can even change the prompt here to say let's, and see if I want a symbol stick image, I can choose that. And now going to set up the YouTube video, I'll have to go to advanced actions and add the action YouTube. Now if you have a URL link of a specific YouTube video, you can just paste that link over here. Otherwise you can even search for a video. So for example, I'll say let's go to the zoo and select this specific video and say save. So now this video will pop up for me over here, and you can choose when to start that video and end that video. So for example, if I press on the button set start, so if I start there, I can see that that specific second has been inputted here automatically.
Go to the zoo and stop like
and now I can press end.
Let's
So now you'll see that the video has been, this is the portion of the video that I want to play for this icon. So if I say preview, I can see
go to the zoo
where
and
that video will
stop
play,
like
and
the
I can
elephants
click on the
do.
button
Let's
save. So once I have saved this, you will be able to see that there is a small YouTube icon on top of this button itself. So you know that a video is going to play. So if I select, the video will actually play.
Let's go to the zoo and stop
the video
like
if you
the
want.
elephants do. Let
So that was the end of today's session. I really had to miss a few slides there. But I think more or less what I'm trying to say is to Gestalt Language Processors, the best way to support their communication is definitely child-led play and also Avaz app. Now, sometimes when you're facing challenges or barriers, the very first thing we say, is there a fault with the learner, or is there something with the learner? That's not the right answer. Maybe the AAC system, yes. And what about implementation? Certainly, that's something where we really need to focus on the implementation part. So it's never the learner. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me today.
Is it possible that a non-speaking autistic adult may have Gestalt learning?
Yes, certainly.
Yeah.
We do have a couple of adult learners who come to us, and they are Gestalt language processors. Obviously, the natural language acquisition framework that we follow, that will take some time because they have been exposed to so much of language. So, but then it is possible for them to progress.
Yeah. Diana says, how can we understand what the child is trying to convey while repeating lines from some videos? I guess that's the investigative work, is it?
Exactly. That's, when I say parents, professionals, educators, I always repeat the mantra, be the detectives.
Yeah.
You have to get curious rather than getting annoyed or frustrated. You need to be curious what the child might be telling and where the child might have picked that up. So if you find the original source and maybe the feeling that may be associated with that, you will definitely connect with your learner.
Okay. Mitude says, autistic kids often stick to certain routines very rigidly. Is there a possibility that they are Gestalt learners?
It may be, yes. Because as I said, Gestalts, they really, really love routines. The episodic memory, it's very, very strong in GLPs. So they love routines. And as I told you that a set, even if one figurine or something goes missing, they really get anxious. So yes, they may be.
Okay. How to support, Hamida says, how to support a child who is constantly singing?
See, first you need to acknowledge that we do have 2 kids who come to us and they constantly sing. And as I said, they may be able to learn better with singing. So what we do is we present whatever we are tackling, maybe some vocabulary words or something in nursery rhymes, or we like, just for an example, an up and down. So roly poly, up. And then you just turn anything into a song and they'll start connecting better. That's how once their language evolves, they will be able to, then move on through the stages.
How do we stimulate or model the child when both phrase and separate words are present, core words?
So you mean to say that the child is using single words as well and also phrases? Is that it? Because see, the core words definitely need to be there. You cannot do away with the core words. If you're talking about programming, I don't know, we don't have the time to show you the video, but that whole programming remains the same, especially the word icons, the place for it, the motor planning, that should remain the same. So if you want to select a category behind that word, you can choose whatever the child likes behind that particular word. And that also, you can embed the videos or the audios in that same manner. So if it's stop, that stop sign should be at that same place. So that's how you go about it. Even the word stop can be from an audio or a clipping that the child uses to use stop.
How do we know if a child belongs to the spectrum or if they are GLPs?
That's a very good question. So even the neurotypical students, they may be Gestalt language processors. Now, what happens is they move so quickly through the 6 stages that they don't get stuck in the stages. And it's like they start evolving like any analytic processor. What happens in autism, or even for a neurotypical sometimes, these stages, they get delayed. And not all autistics may be GLPs. They may be, but 80% of autistics are. That is what the research now is telling us. So a child may be a neurotypical, maybe a GLP, and if they're autistic, definitely there is a fair chance of them being a GLP. Thank you so much, Santa, for having me.